The ash sitting in your fireplace right now will clean your dishes, kill every slug in your garden, fertilize your soil, and make a bar of soap from scratch. It costs nothing. It weighs almost nothing. It has been doing all 4 jobs for every human civilization in recorded history. And the industry, worth $347 billion, replaced it in less than 2 generations. So completely that most people alive today have never heard of a single one of these uses. Stay with me. For the entire span of human civilization before 1850, virtually every culture on Earth made soap the same way. You take hardwood ash, you boil it in water, and the water pulls out potassium hydroxide, a compound your fireplace produces for free every single time you burn wood. You combine that liquid with any animal fat, and you simmer it until it thickens. You have soap. Roman agricultural manuals document this process in Latin. Greek households ran on it. Colonial American families made soap every spring from fireplace ash and pig fat as a primary household staple. It was not a craft project, not a hobby. It was a necessity, planned into the calendar like planting and harvest. The Romans did not stop there. Latin agricultural manuals from the 1st century AD document potash, the potassium-rich residue of burned wood, being worked directly into soil before planting. They had no periodic table. They had no soil chemistry lab. They had 10 generations of observation telling them that fields amended with fireplace ash produced better yields. The Greeks independently documented the same practice. Every culture that burned wood and grew food figured this out, not because someone told them, because it worked visibly and repeatedly every single season. Then, in 1861, a French chemist named Nicolas Leblanc changed everything. He discovered how to manufacture sodium hydroxide industrially, synthetic lye produced at scale, with consistent concentration, and cheap enough to ship. Procter Gamble commercialized the process during the 1850s and the 1860s to make bar soap at industrial volume. By 1900, you could buy a bar of ivory soap for a penny. By 1920, the knowledge of making soap from ash had essentially vanished from mainstream culture. Not suppressed, not banned, simply replaced, so efficiently, so cheaply, and so completely that within 2 generations, nobody needed to remember it. The global laundry and cleaning products market is now worth $131 billion annually. Procter & Gamble alone does $75 billion in annual revenue. The lawn and garden pesticide market adds another $16 billion on top of that. Commercial synthetic fertilizer is a $200 billion global market. Wood ash addresses all 3 of those categories simultaneously. It comes out of a campfire for free. You cannot bottle it, you cannot brand it, you cannot build a subscription revenue model on campfire residue. So the industry did not bury this knowledge. It simply had no reason to teach it to you. I need to be honest with you about something. Nobody ran a campaign against wood ash. There was no meeting. There was no decision. What happened is that industrial manufacturing made the alternative so cheap and so convenient that the original knowledge became unnecessary to pass down. Your grandmother's grandmother knew how to make lye soap from ash. Your grandmother did not need to. You were never taught. That is not a conspiracy. That is a business model working exactly as designed. The FDA does not require cleaning product companies to disclose that their active ingredient is a synthetic version of something your fireplace produces for free every winter. A published study in the Crop Protection Journal tested wood ash as a physical barrier against slugs and snails, one of the most destructive garden pests in temperate climates, and a problem the $16 billion pesticide industry sells you a spray bottle to solve. The result was a 2-inch dry ash barrier around plants that stops slug and snail movement on contact. The alkalinity of the ash disrupts the mucus layer the animal uses to move. It does not require application equipment, protective gear, or repurchasing every season. It is the residue of a fire you were already going to light. The University of Finland published research combining wood ash with urine as a fertilizer applied to tomato crops. The researchers compared tomato yields directly against commercially produced synthetic nitrogen fertilizer. The ash and urine combination produced tomato yields statistically comparable to the synthetic product. The university researchers were not running a homesteading experiment. They were running a peer-reviewed agricultural study on fertilizer efficacy. That paper exists. You can find it. When you do, notice that it received no coverage in any mainstream gardening publication. Notice that Scott's Miracle-Gro has $4 billion in annual revenue and does not benefit from you knowing about it. Beyond slugs and fertilizer, dry wood ash sprinkled around the base of root vegetables deters root maggots entirely. Mixed at a small concentration with water, it cleans cast iron, removes grease from camp cookware, and polishes metal without scratching. The alkalinity that kills slugs is the same alkalinity that cuts through cooking fat on a pan. This is not a coincidence. This is basic chemistry that every household understood before the cleaning aisle existed. Before I walk you through exactly how to use this at camp and at home, I want to mention that if you want the complete library, 12 guides covering water purification to passive cooling to skincare, the Forbidden Camping Vault is linked below. No subscription, no upsell. One flat rate. 12 guides. Let's keep going. This is the simplest material you will ever work with. Collect dry hardwood ash from your fireplace, fire pit, or campfire. Hardwood only, for example, oak, maple, ash, joe, and hickory. Not softwood like pine, which contains too much resin residue. Not painted wood, not treated lumber, not charcoal briquettes. Clean hardwood ash from clean wood. Store it dry in a sealed bucket. Moisture ruins it. At camp, the applications are immediate. Circle your food storage area with a 2-inch line of dry ash to stop slugs and ants cold. Neither will cross it. Mix a small handful with just enough water to form a paste. Use it to scrub your cast iron pan. It cleans without stripping the seasoning. Sprinkle a teaspoon around the base of each plant in your camp garden. Your root vegetables will thank you. Boil 1 gallon of water. Pour it slowly through 1 quart of dry ash packed into a cloth filter. Cheesecloth works. An old t-shirt works. What drips out is lye water, a potassium hydroxide solution. Test its concentration the old way by dropping a raw egg into it. If the egg floats with a surface area the size of a quarter visible above the waterline, your concentration is correct. Combine 3 parts lye water with 1 part rendered animal fat in a heavy pot. Simmer on low heat, stirring constantly until the mixture thickens to the consistency of honey and pulls away from the sides of the pot. Pour into a mold. Let it set for 24 hours. You have soft soap. It will clean your hands, your dishes, your laundry, and your body. It costs you nothing but time. A few things to know. LY, concentration from homemade ash water is variable. It depends on the wood species, how completely it burned, and how you filtered it. If your concentration is too high, the soap will be caustic and will irritate skin. The egg float test is the reliable check, and you should not skip it. Do not use ash from softwood painted wood or pressure-treated lumber. The resin and chemical residues survive the burning process and will end up in your soap and your soil. Wood ash is highly alkaline, which is what makes it useful, and is also why you should wear gloves when handling large quantities or when making lye. Used correctly, it is entirely safe. Handled carelessly in high concentrations, it can cause skin irritation. This is also true of every cleaning product under your kitchen sink, and those do not come with an instruction on how to make them yourself. For the entire span of recorded human civilization, the residue of a wood fire was one of the most useful materials a household could possess. It made soap, it fertilized soil, it killed pests, it cleaned cookware. Then 2 generations of industrial manufacturing made synthetic alternatives cheap enough that the knowledge of these applications simply stopped being passed down. The fireplace. Ash, your parents vacuumed into a bag and threw in the trash, had 4 jobs it was never asked to do. The $347 billion cleaning, pesticide, and fertilizer industry is not hiding this from you. It simply built a world where you never needed to ask the question. Start asking the question. Collect your ash this week. Test 1 application. The worst outcome is that you spend an hour and learn something your great-great-grandmother already knew. The best outcome is that you stop buying products for problems a campfire solves for free. Every time you share this, 1 more person stops throwing away the most useful powder in their house. That is the whole point.